Punishment means nothing to them, you can see that. They enjoy their so-called punishment.
You're absolutely right, sir. Shut your bleeding hole!
You know the image, bowler hat, single fake eyelash, that creepy grin that makes your stomach twist? A Clockwork Orange isn't just a movie, it's a psychological trap that dares you to enjoy the horror. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about Stanley Kubrick's most disturbing masterpiece. And wait till you hear the one about the cult following that made him furious. Number 1. The book was almost too weird to adapt. Before it became one of the most disturbing films ever made, A Clockwork Orange was already scaring people off on paper. Anthony Burgess's novel was violent, strange, and written in a made-up teen slang called nadsat that blended Russian with British Cockney and nursery rhymes. A lot of producers just didn't know what to do with it. They liked the themes, youth violence, state control, morality, but the way it was told, way too weird. One studio after another turned it down. Even Stanley Kubrick, the man who later brought it to life, hesitated. He was known for tackling big ideas, space, war, artificial intelligence. But the idea of filming this felt like walking a tightrope. That all changed when he realized what the book was really about. Not just violence, but free will. The idea that the government could fix someone's behavior at the cost of their soul got under his skin. That was the hook. That was the story. And suddenly, it wasn't too weird anymore. It was too important not to make. Number 2. Kubrick's script was basically the book. Here's something that'll surprise you. Kubrick didn't even write a full screenplay for A Clockwork Orange. Not in the traditional sense anyway. Most directors take months carefully shaping their scripts, adding, deleting, adjusting scenes until it all fits. Kubrick? He just grabbed the book and started copying it, almost word for word. Seriously. He made a few changes here and there, but the vast majority of the film's dialogue and structure comes straight from Burgess's pages. The studio executives were stunned when they saw it. They expected a polished, formatted script. Instead, they got something that looked like someone just highlighted a novel. At first, they weren't thrilled. They wanted something they could control. But Burgess? He loved it. He said it was the most faithful adaptation anyone could have done. And it makes sense. A Clockwork Orange was never a story that needed translation. It needed boldness. Kubrick gave it that by refusing to dilute it. Number 3. Malcolm McDowell was cast after one stare. Malcolm McDowell didn't get the role of Alex through a long audition or callbacks. Kubrick saw him once in a 1968 British film called If, where McDowell plays a rebellious student and knew instantly. "That's him," Kubrick said. Just like that. No tests, no screen reads, just pure instinct. Kubrick had a knack for that. He didn't just look for acting ability, he looked for something behind the eyes, and McDowell had it. There's something unsettling about the way he grins, like he knows a joke you don't. That made him perfect for Alex, who needed to be both magnetic and terrifying. McDowell later said he didn't even understand the full weight of the character when he got the call. But Kubrick did. He saw something in McDowell that went beyond acting, a kind of wild charisma that could carry an entire film full of madness, and he was absolutely right. Number 4. That eyelash look? Malcolm's idea. One of the most iconic visuals in A Clockwork Orange is Alex's look. The white outfit, the bowler hat, the single fake eyelash on his right eye. You'd think Kubrick planned that in advance, right? Wrong. That weird, off-kilter eyelash wasn't in the script, it wasn't even in the concept art, it was all Malcolm McDowell. During early makeup tests, he was messing around with costumes and just decided to try it. Something about the asymmetry felt right. It looked punk before punk even existed, elegant but sinister, like a cartoon villain from the future. When Kubrick saw it, he didn't hesitate. "That's the look," he said. Just like that, Alex DeLarge's twisted persona had a face. It's kind of wild how one small, random decision during makeup can become a permanent part of film history. But in this case, that fake eyelash helped define the character in ways even Kubrick hadn't imagined. Number 5. The singing in the rain scene was improvised. Now, if you've seen the movie, you definitely remember that scene, the break-in, the assault, the moment when violence collides with music in the most disturbing way possible. But here's the weirdest part. It almost didn't work. Kubrick filmed the scene several times, but it just felt flat. There was something missing. It was intense, sure, but it didn't feel unhinged. Then, in a totally unexpected move, Malcolm McDowell just started singing "Singin' in the Rain" during one of the takes. He wasn't trying to be funny. It was just a weird impulse, something instinctual. And somehow, it clicked. The contrast between the cheerful tune and the brutality of the scene made it 10 times more disturbing. Kubrick was so blown away that he stopped filming and immediately went to buy the rights to the song. And just like that, a spontaneous, improvised decision became one of the most infamous movie scenes ever made. It's uncomfortable, unforgettable, and absolutely genius. Number 6. Real torture. The eye clamp scene. If you've ever winced watching the Ludovico technique scene, you weren't alone. And neither was Malcolm McDowell. That wasn't acting. The pain on his face, the blinking, the flinching, it was all real. During that infamous sequence where Alex is forced to watch violent films with his eyes pried open, McDowell's cornea was actually scratched. They had a doctor on set to administer eye drops, but even that wasn't enough. One slip during the process and McDowell felt a stabbing pain that didn't go away. Instead of stopping, Kubrick just kept filming. That's how committed he was to capturing every agonizing second. McDowell later said he couldn't wear contact lenses for months afterward. It's one of those behind-the-scenes moments where the line between performance and actual suffering disappears. And in typical Kubrick fashion, the shot made it into the final cut. Flawlessly terrifying and totally authentic. Number 7. Kubrick shot 30+ takes of Alex walking alone. There's a scene in A Clockwork Orange where Alex is just walking down a hallway. No dialogue, no music, just footsteps and stillness. Most directors would shoot that in 1 or 2 takes, maybe 3. Kubrick? He did over 30. Not because McDowell was doing it wrong, but because Kubrick didn't feel the vibe was right. He was obsessed with rhythm, how the sound of shoes hit the floor, the way McDowell's body moved, the silence in the air. McDowell said he didn't even know what Kubrick wanted. He just kept doing it, again and again. It's kind of absurd when you think about it, spending an entire afternoon filming someone walking, but that's how Kubrick operated. Every frame mattered. Even something as simple as walking had to serve the atmosphere. And to be fair, the final result does feel eerie in a way you can't quite explain. Maybe that was the point all along. Number 8. The Droog's costumes came from cricket gear. You know those creepy white outfits the Droogs wear? The ones with the suspenders, boots, and those questionable bulges. Yeah, those weren't custom designed by some high-concept costume department. They were cricket uniforms. Seriously. The codpieces and jockstraps were taken straight from British athletic gear, repurposed into something strange and unsettling. It was cheap, it was easy, and it worked. Malcolm McDowell even brought in some of his own cricket gear for the early costume tests. The result was a look that felt oddly formal but totally off-putting, like a gang of violent preppies who just stepped off a sports field and decided to start causing mayhem. That weird blend of elegance and violence is part of what made the Droogs so memorable. And once again, it all came from something simple and strangely British. Number 9. The milk bar statues were handmade. The Korova milk bar is one of the film's most iconic sets. It's sleek, surreal, and deeply unsettling, especially those furniture-sized, nude female statues the characters casually rest their feet on. You might think those were rented props or reused sculpture pieces. Nope, they were completely custom-made. Sculpted by hand, painted with extreme attention to detail, and designed specifically for the film. But here's the really weird part. They actually dispensed drinks. Yes, those statues weren't just art, they were functioning beverage machines. The cast could literally walk up to one, pull a lever, and get a glass of drug-laced milk. The level of commitment to visual discomfort was off the charts. Kubrick didn't just want you to see the future. He wanted you to feel how wrong it was. Mission accomplished. Number 10. The film was banned in the UK by Kubrick himself. Most movies get banned by governments, but A Clockwork Orange was banned in the UK by none other than Stanley Kubrick himself. After the film's release, a wave of controversy hit. Reports of copycat crimes started to pop up, gang attacks, home invasions, and even real-life violence allegedly inspired by the film. Some theaters received threats. Newspapers hounded Kubrick and his family. It got so intense that Kubrick asked Warner Brothers to pull the movie from UK circulation. And they did. For over 25 years, the film wasn't officially available in Britain, not in theaters, not on video, nothing. It became one of the most sought-after forbidden films in movie history. Ironically, the ban only added to the myth of the movie, giving it even more power and mystique. Kubrick didn't lift the ban before he died. It was only after his death in 1999 that the film returned to UK screens. Number 11. That phallic sculpture scene? Shot in one take. The murder weapon in that same scene, a giant ceramic penis, wasn't a cheap prop. It was an expensive, one-of-a-kind sculpture that couldn't be replaced. So when it came time to film the fight scene, Kubrick gave Malcolm McDowell one instruction: don't mess it up. He had one shot, no rehearsals, no second takes. Just swing, hit, and pray it worked. McDowell was nervous, understandably. If he missed the timing or broke the wrong thing, they'd be out of a prop and a scene. But he nailed it. The entire bizarre, balletic moment where Alex turns violence into art was captured perfectly, on the first try. It's one of those moments where film meets risk, and Kubrick rolled the dice. Thankfully, it paid off. Number 12. McDowell nearly went deaf. By the time filming wrapped, Malcolm McDowell had been physically tortured, mentally stretched, and pushed to his absolute limit. But the worst came during a scene with a blank pistol. Someone fired it too close to his head. Even though blanks don't have bullets, they're still loud and extremely dangerous at close range. The blast caused permanent hearing damage in one of McDowell's ears. He didn't make a big deal of it at the time, probably because he was already dealing with eye pain, exhaustion, and the weight of carrying one of the most disturbing characters in cinema history. But it's another example of how far this film pushed its actors. Kubrick wasn't known for taking it easy on anyone, and McDowell paid for it in ways that followed him for the rest of his life. It's the kind of thing that makes you re-watch the film differently, knowing that behind all that stylized violence was some very real suffering. Number 13. Kubrick made the crew watch rape footage. This next fact is disturbing, so fair warning. Before filming some of the film's more graphic scenes, Kubrick gathered the crew and made them watch real-life footage of sexual assault. His reason? He wanted them to understand the weight of the material, but it backfired. A lot of the crew were horrified, not just by the content, but by the fact that they were being forced to watch it. It created massive behind-the-scenes tension. Some people questioned Kubrick's ethics, others simply walked out. It's one of the darker parts of the film's legacy, showing just how far Kubrick would go in pursuit of realism, even if it crossed moral lines. Whether it was justified or not, this move pushed the team emotionally long before they started filming. It's a reminder that while the film explored disturbing themes, sometimes the process of making it got just as dark. Number 14. The actor who played Dim nearly quit. Warren Clark, the actor who played Dim, one of Alex's brutal sidekicks, almost didn't make it to the end of the shoot. When he first read the script, he was genuinely disturbed. The violence, the degradation, the lack of humanity, it shook him. Clark wasn't sure he could stomach being part of it. He went to Kubrick and voiced his concerns. Kubrick, ever the manipulator, reassured him. He promised to tone down one of the scenes that Clark found particularly upsetting. Clark agreed to stay. But here's the kicker. Kubrick didn't tone it down. Not even a little. Clark later said he realized that promise was never meant to be kept. But by then, he was already deep into production with no real way out. His performance as Dim ended up being uncomfortably real, because the disgust you sometimes see on his face wasn't acting. Number 15. The ending nearly had voiceover, but Kubrick axed it. Here's something few people know. The original ending almost had a voiceover. Malcolm McDowell recorded internal monologue for the final scene, Alex explaining what he was thinking, wrapping up his journey in words. It was meant to mirror the novel's narration and give audiences closure. But after listening to it, Kubrick scrapped the idea completely. He thought the silence was more powerful. Ending the film with Alex staring up, smiling wickedly as the music swells, it was ambiguous, eerie, and open to interpretation. The lack of explanation forced the audience to sit with what they'd just seen. Were we supposed to be relieved? Terrified? Amused? Kubrick refused to guide us. That final moment, without a single word, says everything. And sometimes, silence can scream louder than any monologue. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel.